Did you know that every year in the U.S., more than 100 million innocent animals are killed, injured, or tortured in U.S. labs for huge companies for experimentation and testing their products? These animals can include mice, rats, frogs, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, fish, birds, and even dogs, cats, and monkeys. Over 65% of Americans own a pet. Most people love theirs dearly, so why would we continue this practice? The answer to this question seems to be lack of federal funding for alternatives to animal testing. Unfortunately, although some companies do put some money into this, it's really hard for them to get FDA approved, and the other regulatory agencies are also really harsh in regards to alternatives. Most companies also don't want to pay the excess costs associated with most alternatives, as they are costly, and they don't want to put more money into research and development for alternatives, so they continue to test on animals. Unfortunately, profit seems to outweigh morality in this issue, and unfortunately, the unethical practice seems to continue. What could we do to potentially solve this problem? Well, regulatory agencies could potentially lighten up on requirements for the alternatives to animal testing. They could make it easier for companies who are putting research into alternatives to get these approved. Companies could also take it upon themselves to research and fund the research for their own alternatives, especially the companies that use animal testing in most of their products. Federal government and politicians could also bring this issue up and bring it into light more than it already is, as it's not really a main political issue brought up a lot. The Humane Cosmetics Act is an act proposed by most animal advocates. It proposes to end all animal testing in the U.S. completely. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone through Congress at all. Another solution could be the FDA could require all the companies who do use animals in testing to label it on all their products. That way consumers are aware, as I feel most consumers are completely unaware that there are products still tested on animals in today's world. So what would the effects of these solutions be? Well, it's possible you would see less of a variety of cosmetics and possibly fewer pharmaceuticals being released per year, as it would be more costly for these companies to continue to produce the amount of products and variety they do if they had excess costs associated with the testing of each product. However, their bottom line really shouldn't be more important than, the ethical treatment of animals. They shouldn't be able to be cruel to them and, make their lives basically just tortured. I also think consumers would be a lot happier knowing that which products were tested on animals and which weren't, as I think a lot of consumers are ignorant to the issue and ignorant to which companies do it, and it would be beneficial if they were labeled. Some countries have already banned animal testing completely. All of Europe, Israel, India. They've also completely banned the sale and import of any products that were tested on animals. So what can we do to help? We can actively check and make ourselves aware of which brands test on animals and try to avoid those brands if possible. The biggest companies that test on animals in the cosmetics world are L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, Procter & Gamble, Clorox, Johnson & Johnson, SC Johnson, Colgate, Unilever, Dial, and MAC. But the most important thing is to just do your own research, keep yourself informed, spread the word, make everyone you know aware that this is still happening, this is still an issue that has yet to be resolved, and unfortunately poor innocent animals suffer every single day. You can also donate to various organizations. There's the Cruelty-Free campaign. There's organizations that help work to save animals that have been used in testing and give them homes. And there's also organizations that work to find alternatives to animal testing and make them cheaper. So hopefully one day companies will resort to using that instead of animals. And hopefully one day we can end this practice, because it really is a terrible thing.
Thank you.